On today's episode of Kilts and Culture with USA Kilts, we try Copper Fox's Belle Grove 1797 whiskey. Howdy, everybody. Welcome to Kilts and Culture. I am your host, Rocky, and this is not Eric. This is Mac. Mac's usually behind the other thing over there, but this time he's over here because Eric's on vacation. Today, we have a special treat. We have Lucas, the man Mitch, over there, and he'll eventually be on the screen at some point. There he is. There's my buddy Lucas.
Getting the angle right is interesting.
Oh yeah. Dude, that's horrible. When we were on the three different screens, forget about it. So, anyway, all right. Today we have a special treat. We have Copper Fox Belle Grove 1797. This was given to us by our friend, viewer of the show, Brett Anderson. So we are going to give you our honest opinion on this. We did try the another Copper Fox one a few months back. Did we like it? I forget.
I don't remember anymore.
Okay,
we should have rolled. We should have looked at some footage.
Research. What are we? We're not professional. All right. So that being said, let's. This thing has like wax on the top here, so I'm using the things that got my hands all waxy and sticky and stuff. All right, here we go. So we got our little highly coveted, oft sought after USA Kilts Glencairn glasses. Lucas, do you want a lot, a little, or a medium?
I would go for medium, please.
Okay. Well, you're gonna get what I pour. I asked the question. I realized I really can't see what I'm pouring.
Not complain either way.
So, all right, come on around this side, Mr. Mac. One for you.
Why? Thank you.
All right, I guess he's gonna get Lucas's.
So,
all right, and we got a little bit of.
Thank you.
I'm gonna hold off on putting the water in until I try it first. So, all right. What do we got on the nose? I don't know.
I'm getting a little citrusy.
I was gonna say like leathery almost. Swedish. Lucas,
Yeah.
What are you getting on the nose there?
Leathery was a good observation,
Thank you.
but yeah, well said.
I consider myself a professional.
Yeah, you guys are not messing around. Little bit of just brightness, I'll call it. Just a warm welcome,
Fair.
if you will.
Smell of brightness.
Yes.
I smell the sun.
My descriptions are always going to be very artistic.
Ralph Wiggum. This smells bright.
We have a comment from Steven who says, "Smells like bad choices and good times."
Yes. I smell the purple. And I taste the green. So, all right. Non-hatch. What would we taste? That's woody.
Yeah.
It's a lot of woody.
I've been to Belle Grove. There's not that many trees there.
Now you know why.
They cut them all down to make the whiskey.
After I'm getting a little sweet back of the mouth, like sweetie tarty kind of thing on the sides. Burny going down.
You gotta get through all that pulp first. That's a lot of tree.
I like to chew my scotch. You can just squeeze it out and make paper. All right. Well, it's not scotch. It's whiskey. Excuse me. All right. Lucas, are you tasting anything?
Let's try an instant replay. Here we go.
I'm gonna water it down now too. Maybe we didn't let it breathe enough. A little Bernie. A few drops of water.
A few drops of water.
Yeah, let's see if this kind of cuts the harsh down a bit. A little.
Not much.
Not much. Yeah. A little bit. I want to say we liked the other Copper Fox.
Yeah. I think we did.
Yeah. I'm going to say 7-8.
Oh, yeah.
But definitely really sweetens up in a hurry, though, at the end.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe tobacco-y kind of sweetness. Maybe I'm letting the fact it's from Virginia kind of color my brain a little bit.
Did you say you had notes on it, Lucas, or no?
I have.
Did you heard that head rattle?
I have a description here, which I'll read for you. I read it and then forgot it, so it wouldn't influence my decision. I'm trying to be unbiased here. All hands on deck. Belgrove, 1797 whiskey, 47% alcohol. Signature pot stilled, unaged whiskey based on corn, oats, and malted barley, made from a modern version of the recipe used at Belgrove Plantation in the 18th century. Major Isaac Height of Belgrove in Virginia's Shenandoah Valley raised all the grains that went into his whiskey and was lauded for the progressive agricultural practices he employed. I also went on their website and found out that a portion of all of their proceeds go to preservation and education. And I say to you, what tastes better than passing on history to the next generation?
They could probably raise more money to give if this tasted better.
Is it supposed to taste like Cedar Creek Battlefield? Like Belgrove, which is on the corner, Cedar Creek Battlefield and Belgrove Plantation is on the corner of that battlefield.
It's the fact that you just said it's not aged makes sense to me. That's a large part of why it's probably so harsh. It's not so harsh, but it's definitely not smooth at all.
No.
Doesn't have that weight of aged whiskeys, I would say.
No, it definitely comes in hard and
fast.
It does, and then it goes away. Like the more I'm sitting here, like it's just faded away.
I'm still feeling like the whole track down, like a river of broken glass in hot lava as it goes down the esophagus. Not quite that bad, but not too far off. I'll still drink it. So I could be more impressed. It leaves something to be desired.
Agreed.
All right. I was expecting some kind of like old timey recipe, Revolutionary War, period-esque. This is the founders did. I don't know, something. No.
They need spruce beer for that.
Fair. I know nothing about spruce beer.
That's what our colonial relatives would have drank.
Yes. Fair. So, all right, score it, Lucas. 1 to 10. What's your score?
We're going to 3.
3.0.
0.3.
3.3.
3.3.
Okay.
Not something I would go out of my way for.
Okay.
Sorry to say.
Okay. Mac?
I'm going to go 3.97.
3.97. Getting very specific.
Mm-hmm.
I could get weirder than Mac. And I'm gonna rate it pi. 3.19. I'm gonna say I'm in the threes as well. Probably like 3.7 or 3.8. Nothing. I'll call it 3.8. It's definitely below average for me. Not a big fan.
Mm-hmm.
I will still drink it. I'm not a big fan. I may have a second to see if I change my mind later.
And a third just to verify?
Third, you have to have the control.
That's true.
It's a scientific experiment. Or we are highly, highly scientific here. Very good. All right, boys and girls, you know the drill. Put your questions in the comments. As always, we are your humble servants here to answer whatever questions you have. Before we start, I'd like to say Happy 4th of July to everybody. It's the 2nd, so it's close enough. This is our closest show to 4th of July. Today, I am rocking the Federal Memorial Tartan in honor of my great-great-something grandfather who fought at Gettysburg and was shot through the leg on the first day. Nothing like pick a strike. Nothing. He was in the freaking hospital for, the cool stuff. But, yes, from Pennsylvania, my great-grandfather. So, cheers.
The odd thing is, I had a relative that was also Gettysburg, who was also shot on the first day, and was a Camp Letterman. They were probably both at Camp Letterman.
Nice. Mine was from, I think it was my side that he he joined up in Egypt, Pennsylvania.
Well, Camp Letterman would have been the hospital, the field hospital. That
Right.
was set up.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
it's where the current Sheets is right now, so they would have been set up at Sheets.
You had to bring up Sheets. All right. Sheets, for those that don't know, it is the arch enemy of Wawa. Yes.
It is.
Yes.
It's superior, but that's fine.
I will bash this bottle over your head twice on Sundays. Sheets. Yeah, I want to take 27 minutes to type in my order. Or like fries on my sandwich. Shut up. Get out of here.
Combat, I think, would increase viewership. So
exactly.
Let's get that going.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So anyway, I am wearing the Federal Memorial Tartan today. Mr. Mack, what do you have on there?
I have Stewart Hunting Ancient on today.
Very nice. Mr. Lucas, what do you have on the back there behind the camera?
I am actually wearing the Kildare Crest tartan.
Oh,
yeah.
Very great.
Who designed that? Do you recall who that was?
Gaelic themes.
Gaelic. Okay, gotcha.
Unfortunately, there's none of it left. So, Cameron Waldron, if you're watching, so sorry.
It's funny that you mentioned that because there was a comment to that effect already.
Awesome.
So it looks like we're right on schedule.
Good to hear.
But that's what custom weaves are for.
Exactly.
Right?
Very good. All right, Mr. Mack, why don't you start us out? What do we got? First question.
All right, so we have Lewis Collingwood asking, when wearing a kilt pin, what is the best way not to make big holes in your kilt?
Not to make big holes in the kilt. Be gentle with it. A couple things. Number one, when you're wearing a kilt pin, be careful and don't just stab it through the kilt. I'd actually say kind of work it in, so you're kind of pushing it between the individual threads that make up the warp and the weft. Some people like to say for their kilts, I buy a kilt pin for every kilt. I put one kilt pin on that kilt. That's the kilt pin that lives on there. I don't take it on. I don't take it off. It just stays on there. In my mind, it's actually a little bit counterintuitive. If you put on one kilt pin on your kilt and you never change it out, you've decided where that kilt pin's going to go and where that hole is going to go. And if you don't remove it, it's kind of like sag over time. Or if you catch it on something a couple times in a row, it's going to kind of, push apart things there. My estimation, it probably makes more sense to actually take your kilt pin off every time you're done wearing it and put it on a slightly different location, or you're not getting to the exact same 4-thread cross area, but put it in a slightly different location, here, then move it a 1/4 inch up, a 1/4 inch in, whatever, each time. That way you don't have to worry about it actually making the material droop if you leave it in your closet for months and years at a time over time. That's kind of what I would do, is just be gentle and careful and, work the pin into the fabric and take it off and put it on every time you want to wear it.
Yeah, because if you leave it there, it's going to start awing out that opening. One thing we noticed, I noticed yesterday or the day before, we had a gentleman come in that had a kilt pin that actually got caught on something and it ripped out the front apron. So one of the things that I would suggest doing is on the back side, there's multiple layers that you're going through. Make sure that kilt pin's going through the thicker part, not the single layer, because that's one thing that he did was he had on a single layer and that just tore out real easy.
Yeah.
But then there's all kinds of backings that we've seen people do, and I think Lucas, I don't know if you remember, it was Cameron, one of our Cameron they had one of their kilts in that had like a plastic behind it that they put the swing arm through to help give it some little bit
Some
more
weight,
yeah,
more support from the back.
mhm.
Yeah. Now I think that's actually I don't know if how much that would actually affect it, because that piece of plastic wouldn't be in all the way up to the top of the kilt, so it's not hanging from that piece of plastic. It probably helps some, but to varying degrees. But putting the pin through multiple layers, I
Yes.
agree. That's another very good point. Yeah, not just through the front apron, like the front of the front apron, but by the fringe, the stuff on the back there. Make sure it's through a few layers of cloth.
Yeah.
Not the under apron, but the few layers of cloth by the fringe on the front apron. Yeah, that's a very good point. All right, Mr. Lucas.
Yes, we have. Well, first of all, a statement from a gentleman who goes by the name of the Kilted Klingon, who reminds us of a couple holidays going on. Happy belated Canada Day, early Independence Day, and Roswell Day, which is July 2nd today.
Roswell, is that the day where
Roswell
everyone was
Day.
supposed to go to Roswell, New Mexico to storm that area?
I
Area 51?
think it's the date of the event, actually, but you've
Okay.
you've brought up grounds to create a new holiday. So
You didn't see that the other year when it was like
Oh, yeah.
everyone was supposed to go
yeah,
out to
to
Roswell?
memorialize that, I think that needs to be established.
Well, it wasn't to memorialize; it was to storm the gates.
Yeah.
of the
What
military
I'm saying with a
installation.
holiday to memorialize the event.
Ah,
we
yes,
want
yes.
people to remember.
To memorialize
What was
the
going
dozens who gave their time. Nobody died.
No.
So we got a new graphic. We need to have like a little spaceship fly behind us.
Yeah.
Like fire bullets out of somewhere. Tom's already over there cringing, like, I don't want to make this thing happen. Oh well, sorry, Tom.
We
All
we have a question from Stephen Funk, who's also celebrating his anniversary with his wife today. So happy anniversary,
Congratulations.
Stephen. And his question is, I am looking at getting my first kilt soon, and I was looking at the pub casuals, one of our casual kilts. Are those kilts the ones that can be washed with other clothes? I have 2 kids and plan on working out, hiking, and overall being active. So he sounds like a lifestyler kind of kilt guy.
Yep. Yeah, the our casual kilts, semi-traditional kilts, anything made from polyviscose, or even beyond us, anything that's polyester, polyrayon, acrylic kind of thing. Yes, those can all be machine washed. Generally, I tell people don't put them in the dryer because it softens the fabric over time a bit too much, perhaps. So for our casual kilt or semi-traditional, you could put it in the washer. Do not use woolite. Do not use fabric softener, nothing like that. Just regular stuff. I'd say attach the Velcro to itself, throw it in the washer with whatever else, and then lay it flat across the couch to dry.
Yeah, and especially if he's looking for something that's machine washable, that's the best way to go. Anything along those lines.
Yep. All right, Mr. Mack, what do we got next?
All right. We have Randy asking, would you wear your kilt to a sporting event like homecoming? And he is a Hawkeye out at the University of Iowa.
Would I wear my kilt to a homecoming?
Mm-hmm.
If I were to attend such things, sure. I will start with this. Does your kilt match your college colors? Some colleges have tartans, some don't. I'd say the majority don't, but some do. And even the ones that do, most of them don't actually make like kilt cloth out of it. There are very, very, very few and far between. If you don't mind not matching the college colors, sure, have at it. If it does match the college colors, great. You're gonna stand out a little bit. If it does match the college colors, you're in the spirit more. So I'd say in that instance, wonderful, have at it. It is a way for you to celebrate something that in a different way than most people celebrate it. You're just showing school pride, enthusiasm, that kind of thing. So yeah, I have no problem with it.
I mean, especially for University of Iowa, Loud McLeod would be a perfect choice for that.
Yep, the red, the yellow, and the black. Yep.
Yeah, there's no. And unfortunately, I did some looking this morning, and I didn't really come across anything that was just yellow and black.
Barclay. It has a white stripe.
Yeah, I was just strictly looking at yellow and black.
Right.
I mean, if he was like at a better school like Penn State, maybe
Fair.
blue and
Fair
white
point.
is easy to find there. Yeah. But yeah, like Rocky said, there's finding something that's close to your school colors, especially if you're going to go that route, is key. And we just did a Michigan State one recently.
Yeah.
And I think I've done a Virginia Tech one as well. So it's done and done pretty well.
Yeah. The problem with school tartans, and I'll even go a little bit further out and say like corporate tartans, is a lot of the times corporations or schools have two colors that are the main colors for the organization. Tartans don't usually have two colors. Two-color tartans tend to be very boring. Sorry, Menzies. Or Rob Roy McGregor, things like that, or Shepherd Check. There's not a lot going on. So tartans tend to have 4 to 6 colors, that kind of range. So if you're trying to match school colors with an existing universal kind of tartan, it can be a bit of a challenge if you just want the 2 colors of your school. Now, I know you have like the Penn State tartan, and Mac wears the St. Andrews tartan with it, which has navy, it has a medium kind of blue and white. So it blends with the navy and white of the Penn State, but it still has another shade of blue. So it's a reasonable match, but it's not a dead-on match because, again, it's more than 2 colors. So,
yep.
Indeed.
I'll jump in on that. When I got my second semi-trad, it was Ramsey blue because my school colors for my high school were blue and white. So I was playing for a basketball tournament. I was like, I really got to have something that looks
I think
good.
this is a
and
false
by
story.
playing for a basketball tournament, I mean playing the bagpipes.
Oh, okay.
And not at 5'2" at the time, making jump shots and whatnot.
You were all-time center?
Field goals and all those things. So, but yeah, I mean, you've got Penn State, which is blue and white, right? And Villanova, which is right down the road, too, which is also blue and white.
Yep.
So he was actually the mascot.
All right, what do we got next? Mac, it's your turn. Is it your turn? That's Lucas' turn.
Lucas.
All right.
I've got one for you. Tony Duffy is saying, my local Highland Games, Pleasanton, California, will be all outdoors this year. It is going to be immensely hot that weekend. No AC. How do we dress for hot weather?
Sexy.
Extra paper towels. For hot weather stuff, it really boils down to your core and your head more than anything else. So I would wear a performance kind of material polo shirt, or performance like a Under Armour style shirt or something like that. And for your hat, I would wear something either linen or a lighter color linen, or a linen hat, cotton hat, something that's breathable, that's not going to trap too much heat on your head. If you're bald, you kind of have to wear a hat so you don't have sunburn on your head. You have that happen once in your life and you will never try it again. For footwear, just comfortable footwear, cotton crew socks kind of thing. And then the kilt, whether it's wool or PV, to me matters a little bit less because you have obviously air conditioning underneath the kilt, and it really matters more your core and your head, what you're wearing.
Yeah, and I noticed, especially working outside in the last few days when it's been quite warm. I've been building a chicken coop, but the shirts that I've been wearing are I think I got it from like Shady Rays, which is a sunglass company, but they have the shirt that's like a UV type shirt,
UV filter shirt,
and that I felt was better wearing than like a performance shirt. It seemed to breathe a little bit better. So to me, it was more focusing on the shirt, and then the shoes. Of late, I've been wearing a little bit more of like a running shoe. It's a little bit lighter weight shoe.
Yep.
It breathes a lot better. So I agree. I think your whatever you're covering your torso and your footwear, especially gonna be a lot of walking.
Yeah.
At a festival, you're walking. So
Yep. I agree. Hope that helps.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Mr. Mack.
All right. We have Ed asking, I've seen Rocky several times mention that weavers have a little leeway in thread count. What does this do when there's a tartan like Firefighter Memorial where thread count is specifically representing something?
Yep. What he's referring to is when you give a mill a thread count and you say, hey, I want this, here's the thread count, and you give them, and they put it into their CAD design to get ready for weaving. If the let's say the selvage edge ends on a stripe and they don't want it to, they'll kind of adjust the thread count a little bit proportionately one way or the other to make it kind of end where they want it to end, center on the line they want it to center on. They'll adjust it for the set size to be, 6.8, not 6.5, depending on what the customer wants. Some tartans have meaning in the thread count. So, for instance, our Firefighter Memorial, which he alluded to, has as one of the pivots 3-4-3 red lines in one of the pivots in the tartan. And what we do is we tell the mill, okay, hey, we're going to weave the Firefighter Memorial. Please adjust the thread count so that the set size is 8 inches or 7.5 inches or whatever. But in doing that, don't touch these 3 numbers. Leave the 3-4-3 exactly as it is because that has significance, and it's not so big of a section that it's going to really affect the overall look of the design and things like that. A tartan really is does it look like the tartan from 10 feet kind of mindset when the mill is weaving. Royal Stewart from one mill is going to look, they may have a slightly wider red section or a slightly narrower red section from another mill, just based on the mill's particular preference or the weaver's preference and that kind of thing. Does it look like it? Do you recognize it as the design, or is it so far off that it's something different? It's akin to copyright kind of thing. Does it look 10% different, or is it close enough? Like, how does it look? So that's how we would do it with a thread count for a tartan that has a specific design, or our law enforcement has 72 black threads for the 72 law enforcement officers that died on 9/11 as well. And those are in the black bands, the 2 black, bars, and those will stay the same. The field of blue might get, a 1/4 inch bigger or a 1/4 inch smaller. That is of little consequence as long as it stays blue. But the thread count of the black section is what matters. So it's really just a close enough from one mill to the next kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and is the weight of the material, is that going to factor into that too, or no? Or is that just...
Yes and no. It's good point. The weight of the material, if it's the thread count is the exact same. So there's across the entire thread, the entire design, let's say there's 268 threads. It's coming up with a number. 268 threads of 16-ounce yarn versus 268 threads of 13-ounce yarn is going to be a little bit narrow or a little bit smaller in the 13-ounce, a little bit bigger in the 16-ounce. So if you want the set size to remain the same, using again Firefighter Memorial for the example, I would probably shrink the red section a little bit and leave the 3-4-3 just as it is, or shrink everything proportionately by 5%, 10%, whatever, but leave the 3-4-3. Yep. Pretty easy one. All right, Mr. Lucas.
Okay. We have business to take care of first. Mike Ramsey says, "Don't be hatin', simple tartans."
Don't hate the play, I hate the game.
All right. On to Russell Massingale. How long does it take one of your kilt makers to complete a kilt? Time from cutting the cloth to handing it to QC for
quality
check.
Control.
Yep.
Yeah.
It depends on what style we're doing. Like a premiere could take a full day plus. It just depends on a few things. Depends on the tartan itself. Depends on how confusing or how
easy,
the
simple
the
design
pattern is on it. How much?
If it's like Rob Roy McGregor or Menzies, simple ones.
Bam.
The
Or it was like Ogilvy when you have
Yeah.
1,000 lines in that. That's going to take a little bit more marking out, a little bit more time to think about how it's all going to go together.
or Aberdeen, something that's a huge 14-inch set where you have to kind of make up your own pattern within it because you can't do a 14-inch set to the true set.
No.
Your pleats will be 2 inches wide each.
And there's one where you mentioned where because of the size of it, it doesn't fully repeat across the bolt. They definitely have to do some adjusting for the weaving of that to make that work across the bolt.
It will. They would figure that the center line, and they would work both and down from the center. Like if it's a 60-inch bolt, they would go at the 30-inch mark is this pivot, and then just go down from there.
We'll say that's what they did in the last one.
Fair. I'm not casting stones.
No, they never change anything.
No. The mills are always
exactly
consistent,
the same.
always perfect, right on, dead on. Never any flaws to have to work around. Nah.
But yeah, going back to the question, like our casuals, we can get several of those done. Usually do several of those done in a day. It just depends on the style and what we have to work with.
Yeah, and if you're doing 5 of the same one, or if you're doing like the same size, the same, there's a lot of different variables. But so here's the easy answer: anywhere from a couple hours to a couple days.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on the style of kilt we're doing and the complexity of the thing that we're doing with it.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed. All right, Mr. Mack.
All right, so we have Leo asking, I have a dark green Prince Charlie I wear with my Burns modern tartan. I purchased it to be a little different, but is it perhaps inappropriately different? I have yet to see one displayed / discussed. Any concerns on acceptance?
So a Burns modern.
Burns modern, yep.
It's going to be red and green with some stripes in it. It's not the Burns check. It's the Burns red
Burns modern, yep.
Yeah. So if it's Burns modern, it's going to have bottle green in it.
Yep.
It's one of those where it's. I would say this: if you are wearing it as a, if you're wearing it to an event where there's a lot of other kilt makers and you want to stand, or kilt wearers, excuse me, not kilt makers. If you're wearing it where there's a lot of other kilt wearers and you want to stand out, you want to be the peacock among the peacock, the main peacock or the head peacock in the room of peacocks, then sure, bottle green will be different. It will stand out. If it's just, you're doing a wedding and you're going to be the only kilt wearer there, or it's a black tie event and you want to wear your kilt and everyone else is going to be in tuxedos, but you're going to be in a kilt, then I would say at that point, I'd really rather see black because you're blending in more with the tuxedos. It's a black tie kind of event versus something that is green and stand out and bold, which I get when you're wearing it with around other people wearing kilts, but not so much when you're wearing it around tuxedo-clad folk.
Yeah, I think as long as the outfit looks smart in the end. It's not wearing like a red Prince Charlie with that, where it would be a really bold choice.
It is.
We have done red. We've done navy as well, haven't we?
Yep. Red, navy, and bottle green are the 3 colors outside of black. They're probably the most common.
Yeah. So I think it all depends on the rest of your outfit. If the whole outfit is a very smart looking outfit, then it all ties together well. It's not going to the extreme. So,
agreed. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Done. All right, Mr. Lucas.
All right. Just for fun, we've had 2 folks mention that they're from Sweden and they're wishing us a happy Independence Day here
Very
in the
nice.
US. Very cool.
Thank you.
Quick question from Sweden. Yes. Quick question from Tate Bartlett, who's asking, do you all wear kilt hose all the time or just occasionally?
Yeah, I'm not gonna bring my leg up and flash the camera.
Darn.
But no, we don't wear kilt hose all the time. It's different horses for different courses. So it's It's warm today. I mean, it's, upper 80s, lower 90s, I think, outside. So today, no, I have on a pair of cotton crew socks and a pair of sneakers, polo shirt, and 8-yard wool kilt. It's form follows function. We want to be comfortable. This is not, to us, it is heritage, but it is not relegated to being a costume that strict rules must be adhered to. It is a living, breathing thing to some degree. There are, conventions, there are traditions, but there are no firm rules that you must wear hose for it to be a kilt or for it to honor tradition or whatever, as long as you're wearing it appropriately for the context, for the for the weather, for everything like that. So no, I don't wear kilt hose. I would say, realistically, I probably wear cotton crew socks more than I wear kilt hose, because I dress more like this than I do dress up. If I'm wearing a tweed jacket or just a tweed vest, even if you don't really leave the jacket off, then I would wear a kilt hose. If I'm wearing a dress shirt or something a little bit dressier, or if I wanted to dress up how I am dressing now, or if it's winter and it's cool out and I want to have a little bit more coverage on my legs, then yes, I will wear a kilt hose. But if it's summer and I'm not getting dressed up, I'm not going out, on a date with the wife or anything like that, then no, I'm just going to, dress like this.
Yeah, I think if most times I'm wearing it casually, so it's more the casual thing. I'm wearing just regular socks with it, or even what was the new thing that we learned, but smart casual, or what was that?
Yeah, smart casual, I think was the term.
Something like that.
Yeah,
or like business casual. Like I'm still would wear regular crew socks with it before I wear the kilt hose. So
no, smart casual is like no socks in the.
Oh, that's true. That's right. I forgot.
We looked up images of like business casual, smart casual, like all these different levels of dress,
and it was like a fine line.
Yeah, there's some overlap, but but a lot of the models had no socks on for some reason. Very, very, very metro.
Yes,
but yeah, no, again, wearing a kilt doesn't have to be stuffy. It doesn't have to be seeped in tradition every single time you wear it. You can incorporate it into the way that you wear your normal clothes. Figure, what would you wear, in place of shorts, dress it that way. Mm-hmm. And that's, how, if you're going to wear a casual, you can do it like that. If you want to get dressed up, there are, conventions for that kind of thing, but you don't have to do that. And ultimately, I started out with this. If you spend that much money, and that much can be $100 or it can be $500-$600 on a single piece of clothing, I'll be damned if I'm going to let that thing sit in my closet. Mm-hmm. I'm going to wear it. I want to have it out there for more than just the odd, special occasion, once a year, once every other year kind of thing. I'm going to get my freaking money's worth out of it. So yeah, I'm going to incorporate it into my daily wardrobe. I'm going to wear it with casual stuff. I'm going to still be able to dress it up. And that's the beauty of kilts, is it's this versatile garment. You can dress it way up to the most formal. I could wear this 8-yard kilt with a Prince Charlie, a dress sporran, kilt hose, and go to a black tie affair. Or I can wear it with a t-shirt and a pair of sandals and walk on the beach. No, I don't wear sandals with my kilts, but only on the beach would it ever be acceptable. I hate sandals. Tom, I can feel your eyes burning a hole in the side of my head right now. I don't care. I hate sandals. But the point is, you can take the same article of clothing and dress it way down or way up, and there's nothing else that even comes close to having that level of versatility.
Yeah, it's the only piece of clothing that can be a pair of jeans and part of a black tie suit at the same time.
Yep. Agreed.
To jump in right there, we just had a comment asking about your opinions on flip-flops.
When my wife buys another pair, I get another hat.
If there is one thing that I am against, it's flip-flops. No, thank you. Not in that camp.
No.
Sorry to say.
Nor am I. Yeah. No, open-toed shoes, never. Nope. Maybe the tread sticker thing that goes on the bottom of your foot, so you can walk around barefoot with just rubber tread on the bottom. Maybe I'd explore that one time. I've just caused Tom to cough up his gummy snacks over there.
So,
but
couldn't you just spray Flex Seal on the bottom of your feet at that point?
Interesting. Oh, our road was just oiled and chipped. I could just walk out and get the tar on the bottom of the feet. Kelly would love footprints around the house.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
No, that's a hard pass on flip flops. Period. End of story. So saith Rocky. So saith the Lord. All right. Question.
Okay. Bit of a comment question going on here. So this is my friend Rod Nevin, and he says, speaking of watering, talking about watering the whiskey. I have not a question, but a kilt cleaning tip. Recently, I inadvertently dripped some barbecue sauce onto my kilt from some adventurous chicken nugget eating. When I noticed it, the sauce is still wet, so I poured some water onto it from my water bottle after removing the kilt. And after dabbing it dry and letting it hang dry, it was clean as new. I've definitely spot cleaned a kilt the same way. Any other tips, thoughts on spot cleaning your kilt?
I'm stuck on adventurous chicken nugget eating. Like, was there a competition?
I don't know.
See, I'm picturing this as him 10 feet away from the other competitor, and they have to have their mouth open.
They're flinging.
And you just wing it like you're skipping a stone with, the barbecue sauce, trying to hit them in the face, right in the gob, with chicken nuggets.
Mm-hmm. That would be fun.
Indeed.
Now I really want chicken nuggets.
USA Kilts Olympics.
Thanks, Rod.
Chicken nugget adventures. Okay, Mr. Mack. Next question.
Well, just to go back to that,
Oh.
One thing that I know we've done, especially if we had a piece of cloth that had, so every now and then when the mill sends us cloth, it might have like a little stain of oil on it.
Yep.
We've used dish soap, a little bit of dish soap and water, kind of scrubbed that area, and then got some more water and cleaned it off that way. And that's another way to not damage anything.
And
that's kind of a spot check there.
Yeah, and the oil that they use for machines, for the most part, is water soluble because they know this is going to happen, or it's not going to stain the thing. So that's why dish soap is great at taking it out. What's the spray thing we use?
Oh,
it just turns it white and like kicks it up and pulls it out of the fibers.
I don't remember what the actual term is, but yeah, it sprays on and then it becomes a powder and it just kind of brushes off.
Yeah, it's something that I think we get it from like a dry cleaner supply company or something. Yeah. So there's stuff out there.
That worked really well. I had something going on, and Mac was like, "What's going on with your kilt?" I'm like, "Oh, it's staying order." And he came out of his office like a wizard with this spray can, and boom, and it was gone. It was perfect. It was amazing.
All right, Mr. Mack.
Alrighty, so we have Lewis asking, I have seen kilts that say they're hand woven wool. They seem cheaper in price, so would hand woven wool have lesser quality than machine woven?
No. I will say this, not knowing the company that used that description. But no, if it is cheaper than traditional, Scottish wool, they are probably lying to you. It's not hand woven. It's if I had to guess, it is most likely their marketing effort to cover up the fact that it is cheaper fabric, or that it's acrylic fabric, or it's an acrylic wool blend kind of thing. There are, hand weavers out there weaving real wool into, kilt suitable cloth. And they're going to generally be a lot more expensive. It's a manual process where they're actually sitting there at the treadle or shuttling the loom themselves back and forth. So it's not something that's cheaper. It takes longer. Longer equals more money. So if somebody is weaving something or has something that they are calling hand woven, but it is cheaper than regular wool or regular PV or whatever, then it's just because the labor or the materials that go into it or both are cheaper. Either it's woven somewhere where there's a lower cost of living or a lower salary and lower wage kind of thing, or cheaper as in it's just crap.
Yeah, when I think of hand woven, I think of like Harris tweed. Like I think of kind of like along those routes where that material is not cheap. It's the like I went back and reread the question myself because I thought he meant at first was the look, because sometimes hand woven stuff can have that look where maybe
it's a little bit looser or there's some imperfections, and that's the beauty.
Yeah. So I was kind of going that way, but no, he does say in price. So yeah, I think, like I said, I go back to Harris tweed, and that's a lot more expensive material, and the look of it is definitely different than what I'm thinking that he's seeing.
Yeah. No, the Harris tweed, in order for it to be Harris tweed, it has to be woven on the Isle of Harris or the Isle of Lewis in Scotland. They get the little orb as their maker's mark. Now, those, it has to be like old-timey looms. So for those, a lot of them they cannot be mechanical or machine run. They have to be hand or human powered. So a lot of them, they've adapted to either a bike, so they can sit there and pedal with the bike to actually, make the shuttle fly back and forth, or, treadles where they actually just pump their feet kind of thing. So then they can still call it Harris tweed. But that's Harris tweed specifically, which is beautiful cloth, by the way, is more expensive than regular kilt wool and that kind of thing. So if it is cheaper, dollars to donuts, 99% positive, it means it's just their marketing term for this doesn't look as good, there's imperfections, therefore we're going to say hand woven, kind of, sort of, not really.
I put the thread in the looms. Does that mean it's hand?
Yeah. It means it's cheap. And if it's cheap and the price is cheap, if it's too good to be true, it probably is, period. The old adage holds true for Highland wear as much as it does for everything else in life. All right. Was that you?
That was me.
Mr. Lucas.
All right. We have a construction question from Eric Thwaites, who's saying, I noticed there's an extra flap of fabric on the inner side of the fringe end of the kilt. Is this to allow for expanding the kilt if it needs to be made larger, or just part of the kilt making process?
Yes. Traditionally speaking, kilts were, back when clothes were adjusted more often. I'll start there. They would add in extra material on this side, that side, and allow for the adjustment of the kilt later on, whether that's in the way that they attach the fringe, whether it's the deep pleat on the on the front apron, whether it's the under apron having a little bit of extra cloth underneath there. There is different ways to add a little bit more material into the kilt to be able to adjust it later on, should it need to be let out and made bigger, or you can take it in and make it smaller. You don't need extra fabric to make it smaller, but you know what I mean. Some kilt makers do that, some don't. It just depends on who is making your kilt and how they construct it. It's one of those things where there's 100 different ways to skin a cat, and the vast majority of people don't have major kilt alterations anymore. It's, buckle moves and that kind of things we get on occasion, or replace the straps or make this, move this strap on the under apron kind of thing.
Yeah, very rarely are we moving anything more than 2 to 3 inches on average. That's kind of seems to be the most we move anything. On a rare occasion where someone's lost weight and I found it, like that's the big moves there. But for the most part, we're only moving up and down maybe 2 to 3 inches. And
part of the reason why as well, it's not that you can't adjust a kilt. It comes down to cost. If it is a major reconstruction of the garment, a lot of times it's going to cost a good chunk of change. I mean, it's going to be a couple $100 minimum to completely redo parts of the kilt. And a lot of people would just say, I would just rather take that money and put it towards a new kilt and or sell this one. And then therefore I get a brand new kilt made specifically to my measurements on purpose right out of the gates, and use that money that they used to sell in selling their old kilt to put towards the new kilt as well. And you end up with about the same thing. A new person gets a new kilt and at a discounted price, and you get a brand new kilt made to your measurements. So it's kind of a win-win versus a major overhaul reconstruction. The only time I would say that we've had people specifically say, no, I want to have it completely ripped apart and redone, is when it's a family heirloom kilt, or this was my dad's and now I wanted to give it to my son, or something like that.
Yeah, because then you get into the aspect of the front apron. If we're going smaller, the front apron starts wrapping around the backside of the kilt, and now your pleats, your pleated area is so much smaller, and then your pleats then start interacting with your aprons and get tangled up, or you go the other way where you got to make it bigger, and now the under apron's showing. So, and for me, I'd rather have something that's fixed and fixed right, and that's potentially getting a new kilt, versus something that's
hacked and close enough.
Works-ish.
Yeah. Agreed. All right, Mr. Mack.
All right, so we have Nathan asking, putting together a World War II Highland uniform. We'll love to get some advice on that. And we have Will asking, I would like to hear Mac talk about his World War I kit and where he suggests getting the right repros for a walking out World War I uniform.
For those that don't know, Mac does reenacting.
Mm-hmm.
You do, what do you do for reenacting? Kilt-related stuff.
Kilt-related, just World War I.
World War I?
Yep.
Which regiment do you...
We do the 42nd Royal Highland of Canada, so Canada Day was,
Cheers to Canadian land.
Yeah, we're day 2 of the Psalm right now.
There you go.
So that didn't go over so well the first day. But,
So what advice would you have for the young lad?
So, it's like anything. Depending on how much you want to spend is really... There's different levels. I would say your entry level stuff would be like From What Price Glory, Soldier of Fortune, which is over in the UK. All their stuff is going to be made somewhere in the Middle East area. Their specs have gotten better as far as their cuts and the material that they're using. But the guy to go to is Dickie Knight on Khaki on Campaign. The last I knew, he had a 6 to 8 month turnaround on uniforms, so everyone's going to him a lot.
Yeah,
so, but again, he's a UK dealer, so you got to deal with getting stuff over. But as far as in the US side, Carter Jasper, they're mainly a Civil War vendor, but there's a gentleman there that runs that. His name is Joe Blunt. He has been making uniforms for a little while now, and they've been really well made. For equipment, for all your gear, no one is better than Lawrence Ordnance, but they're in Australia, so you're going to be spending a little bit more on shipping.
Yeah,
coming from Australia, and not Austria, Australia. Make sure we get that right.
We had a big kilt band order go to Australia once that was supposed to go to Austria. So.
Yes, so kangaroos, not mountains.
Indeed.
Boots, William Lennon Boot Company in the UK is the best boots out there. Their B5s are amazing. I want a pair one day. I don't have a pair.
So I'm taking it that they're a bit pricey.
They're not too bad. They're, I think, $285 was the last.
That's pricey for me.
Yeah, for something that you're gonna wear and get beat up and
Yep.
and not mess around, mess up pretty much. But yeah, but they are made. Specs are spot on. They got original shoes. They based everything off of. And then there's also this little guy in Boyertown, Pennsylvania.
Huh.
We might know him.
Indeed.
That is on Facebook under Blighty Corner. That does make some stuff. So
I've heard horrible things about his customer service, though.
I know.
He's a complete jerk. No. Mac actually has his own reproduction stuff. He makes some military reproduction things. What's the spell it? Blighty Corner?
Blighty Corner, like blighty as a wound. It's a BLIGHTY corner. And I'm on the Facebooks. And of course, if you're looking for a kilt, we know a place that does that.
I've heard of one. It's somewhere around here somewhere.
But it's... I mean, the other options for that is eBay, an ex-military from the 50s, and they're...
yeah,
okay.
hit or miss. Yeah.
So that's kind of a quick rundown, but it's again, it's a matter of how much you want to spend. You can spend a lot, you spend a little.
Yep.
It just depends on what the unit that you're trying to join, what their requirements are, and I would check with them first.
Indeed. Now, boys and girls, before we get to the next question, you know, or if you don't know, I'm telling you, my employees love to torture me.
We do?
Once in a while.
Okay.
They love to needle me, to poke, to prod, just to get under my skin, just to get a reaction out of me. So, I want to do something different. We have a show that we're a single thing for right now. It's just one right now, maybe more. Called Rocky Reacts. We're putting it out, we're going to premiere the video July 23rd. So we're going to have a thing on Facebook at some point and YouTube. We're going to send out an email about it. Have a watch party when we premiere that. And we've cut some segments of it down into a wee snippet for you guys as a sneak preview today. So without further ado, for about 3 minutes, it's not that long of a segment, don't worry, we'll be back. We're going to show you what's going on with the Rocky Reacts segment.
Hey guys, welcome. We are trying something new. This is Rocky Reacts, and we are going to basically torture your friend and mine, Rocky Rager, with a few cringeworthy items that we've run across in our travels on the interwebs.
Oh, threw up my mouth a little bit right there. I want to see the animal that thing came off of.
One of my personal favorites.
Yes. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be on the team. I think I would debate quitting.
Do
it for your country. I don't love the country that much. It looks like a dentist's waiting room couch. That's about the end of it. Nah. All right, let's do the next one.
All right, ready?
Yep. He should be drug out in the street and shot. Oh, he's got a face for punching.
I swear he looks like Jim Carrey to me. It's like, cable guy.
Yeah.
I need a costume, quick.
Dude, it's like if Borat tried to be Scottish for Halloween.
Borat would do better than this.
Fair point. Oh, they found my college photo. No.
You've looked into the abyss, Rocky.
Oh, I've stared into the abyss and it has crushed my soul. High fashion, low bar. That's something. This is just...
Oh, that is his hair. You know, all this time I thought that was like a hood.
No.
I thought that was a hood. I thought he was wearing like a hood.
That's what I'm saying, like a pale Harry Potter villain with a mohair wrap. My enemy. My sworn enemy. As if buckle brogues weren't bad enough. You found one in tan.
It's a double buckle. It's a double buckle brogue.
Give him a top hat, center stage, 5-ring circus or 3-ring, whatever the circus thing is, like circus conductor guy.
Right.
Yes. I hope he gets mauled by a tiger.
Yeah.
Needs to get mauled by a tiger. I give her a bit of a pass because she's looking at me kind of sexy. But outside of that, I'd be sad too if I had to dress up in a haggis costume and walk around a grocery store while shopping. No, 3 seconds after this photo is taken, they scare the absolute out of the lady with the cart. Can you imagine just like creeping up behind her like, "Hey lady, buy some mixed green haggis!" Ah! Yeah.
This is all the rage.
He's got a face to constipation there. It's somebody made me do this with my sporran. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, kill it with fire. That was amusing and painful to partake in. We actually recorded for about an hour and a half of horrible photos that I had to delve into. So it was torturous and spectacular simultaneously. Tom, how long is the final video gonna be? Like 15, 16 minutes. Yeah. So it's something fun. So hope you guys enjoy that. I enjoyed doing it. And as always, Eric enjoys torturing me. So, Mr. Lucas, what do we got going on?
Okay, we have a formality question here.
Okay.
From D4s. I'm getting married this summer. Congratulations. And it's a pretty casual wedding on a local beach. I plan to wear my kilt with just a white dress shirt. Would you go necktie or bow tie, tartan, or not?
Casual wedding on a beach? If it's beach, you can go as much as you want. I mean, it's my opinion matters less than your future bride's. If I was on a beach, I would probably wear. Well, I don't know. It depends on what flavor you want for the wedding. I mean, like Chris Corbin, one of our customers, got married on the beach, a long time ago, a friend of ours, and he wore a full Prince Charlie. All the groomsmen were in full suits. Wife looked beautiful. It was a full gown, everything like that. But it just happened to be on a beach. Now we've had other customers who have worn flip-flops for some reason, and a casual or a kilt, like linen, loose kind of fitting shirt on the beach, a much more casual look to it. So it really depends, or even barefoot. It really depends on what you want the wedding to look like. And I would say this: if you are the type of person that's gonna have invest a good amount of money in a photographer, have hundreds of photos and all that kind of stuff, and blow one of them up, put it over the mantle, over the fireplace, or on the wall, whatever, and that's going to be a piece of art that you look at every day for the rest of your life. Think about that almost as much as just the day itself. Or what do I want it to look like? What am I going to want to see hanging in my home forever? This is memorial forever. Mac, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm kind of going two different ways. I'm kind of getting what you're saying there, and especially at the end, almost kind of taking the full outfit along, because you can always get pictures with the full outfit, and then do some pictures a little bit more casual. Like, when I think of beach wedding, I don't even think of ties. I don't think of anybody really wearing bow ties or even neckties. It's just kind of a linen shirt that's maybe opened a little bit at the top, with the little flower thingy. But
corsage.
That's on the wrist, isn't it? That's on the corsage.
That's a wrist corsage. What's up? Boutonniere.
There we go.
We're so fancy. I'd say it depends on the schedule that you're on with the wedding.
That's true.
We're in a room full of photographers, including yourself.
Yeah.
I'm sure you would love for the bridal party to have costume changes.
If I knew it going into it, then I'd be fine with it.
You would price it appropriately. But it's one of those things where if they're on a strict schedule and they're trying to get from point A to point B and there's not a lot of time, then I'd say no, just pick one and go with it. If there's 4 hours between the ceremony and the reception, then maybe you do 2.
Yeah.
Bride stripping down on the beach to put on a new. Nah.
Yeah, Yeah, the end result. Like, what do you? I think what you said with that picture hanging over the mantle, like, what do you want that to look like? I think that's the key in the end of this.
Yep, it's always forward thinking. That's one thing that we try to do here, and this is a mini sales pitch, but not really. Our job is to think ahead for you, is to think how it's going to look and kind of point out the potholes in the road that you might hit or whatever, and try to go through the process with you mentally to make sure you're going to be happy with the end result. And then that's kind of where I'm saying to you is start with the end result. Start with what you want it to eventually look like. Years from now, what will you have been proud or embarrassed to have the photos look like, and then work backwards.
Yeah.
So, hope that helps. Mr. Mac, what do we got next?
Alrighty, so we have Keegan asking, what about suspenders or braces for helping holding up a kilt if you can't wear a belt?
Okay.
Have you ever worn suspenders or braces with a kilt?
I don't think so. I used to wear braces is effectively the fancy British word for suspenders. There are some differences. One have clips, one have buttons or whatever, but it's close
Same
enough.
thing.
It's the things that go over your shoulders and they adjust. Rerun with the rainbow ones in the 70s. Shout out to What's Happening Now and What's Happening. Raj, hey, Dwayne Wayne, all of them. Mm-hmm. Anyway, now I want a red tam. But
another Photoshop.
Me doing the rerun dance. That dude could dance.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, complete tangent. Now, suspenders with a kilt. I knew we were going somewhere with this. Have I done it? No. Can it be done? Yes. I don't like the look of them with a kilt, so I'd say if you can hide them, if you're wearing a vest or sweater or something over it, then yes, I'm a little bit more comfortable with it. The generally bigger guys, I could see needing it if you have, the round belly in the front and what we affectionately call the Noestal disease. Where you're just straight down in the back, or you actually kind of are egg-shaped where you kind of come in, and you want to wear the kilt around the widest part of you. If it's still, drooping down or falling down, and you find yourself constantly kind of hiking it up throughout the evening, then yes, a pair of suspenders can help that.
Yeah, I've worn braces with my War One kilt. You're gonna have to sew buttons on the inside, especially if you're using suspenders that have the buttons on. But it also becomes an interesting way to put on a kilt too, because you have the suspenders usually, which makes it easier, is have them buttoned already. So you gotta put the suspenders on. It's like putting a barrel on.
Calling into a cage.
Yeah, so you gotta put that on and then kind of wrap everything around, because your suspender buttons are going to be on your under apron, because that's going to help hold up that kilt, and then you're going to bring the front apron over top of it. So it can be an interesting
experience,
finagle to get in. We've had customers. I think Marty, was the one customer we had come in. He had an operation there. He couldn't have any pressure across his waist, so he was kind of forced into wearing suspenders. So I think in that situation, your cards are kind of dealt with, against you there. But as you said before, we have this new invention called a belt that works just as well.
Yeah. If you need the suspenders because you can't wear a belt, like Morty, with the pressure on the abdomen kind of thing, then fine, do it. Pull over or a vest or something like that over top, and you can just hide them really easy. But outside of that, I'm more in the much more in the belt camp. Just make sure you're wearing the kilt above the widest part of you. Again, if you're egg shaped, above the widest part of the egg, and then cinch it down. Some big guys are like, firm and, like you can, bounce quarters off their belly kind of thing. Other guys are just like big marshmallows where they're kind of fluffy. So if you're fluffy, you may have to kind of cinch it in a little bit. Yeah, it's a little bit more difficult if you're fluffy versus if you're, hard.
Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Exactly. In a kilt.
Mm-hmm. There's another one for him.
Cowering behind us, walking through the screen. Anything else we want to like make them do?
I don't know. We're coming up with a good list here.
We need Ghostbuster costumes.
Well, especially with the Stay Puft.
Yes, deep fake. Deep fake the scene from the movie. Us as Ghostbusters, and then we are fighting in kilts.
Yes.
Fighting Stay Puft.
There we go.
Gauntlet thrown down. Have at it, Tom or Joel. One of yous. You guys can't see their faces. They're just, damn it. Yes. So, indeed. All right, Mr. Lucas. Next question, please.
All right. There's something on the floor over here. It's a gauntlet. You guys might have to pick it up.
It's Tom's jaw.
We have a question about outfits, and it's very open-ended, so brace yourselves. Lou Oldag is asking, what outfit is best for celebrating things?
Your birthday suit. Come on, a little streaking on the field. We talked about homecoming earlier. You got to have the streaker. Yeah. You can celebrate in the birthday suit.
It ties in with Belle Grove for me. Just leave it there.
I don't want to know Mac's war stories of him and his reenacting. Yes, naked dancing. We'll leave it there. I've said too much already. Sorry, Brittany. What's best for celebrating? It depends on what I'm celebrating.
Yeah.
If it's celebrating a wedding, dressing up, looking all fancy, or black tie affair kind of thing. If I'm doing something, celebrating 4th of July, I'd say a wool kilt and my ungrateful colonial shirt.
Yeah.
And a pair of sneakers and blowing things up. Here's to blowing things up this weekend, everyone.
As long as it's not fingers.
Indeed. Blowing off. I don't know. What's your celebration outfit, Mac? Celebrate good times. Come on.
So I just started thinking that. I mean, when I think of celebrate, I guess I'm thinking more casually, like it'd be hanging out with a group of people, and so if for the most part it'd be t-shirt, 5-yarder, and sneakers.
Fair.
It's a hard question because it depends on what you're doing.
I'll say this as well. Now, I've been known to cut a rug on occasion. I'm a dancing fool. 4 or 5, drinks at a wedding, and I am the king of the dance floor with all the ladies. And my wife just going, "Oh God, why is he doing this? Why he can't dance? Don't matter, don't care." So I would say my celebration outfit would probably be temperature driven. Meaning, if I'm going to be celebrating at a wedding, it's vest and shirt, and I would have a tie for the wedding, but it would come off the reception. Yeah. It's temperature controlled. I'm out there rocking out like a rock star. My Axl Rose going on, the little body swaying. With the kilt swish, magnifique. Indeed. So, yes, temperature driven. My celebrations are temperature driven. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Mr. Mac.
Alrighty.
I mind the Belgrove a little bit less on my second one. I let it kind of open up a little bit of water. It's growing on me, kind of like a fungus. But it's not as bad as the first one. Just putting it out there.
So we've got a question for our bigger guys. Having issues with the kilts falling off hangers. How did they fix this?
Kilts falling off hangers. All right, so you're a bigger guy. You have a kilt on a hanger. Depends what kind of hanger. And let's go to a bigger guy. Let's say like 70-inch waist. Mm-hmm. So it is even if you fold it in thirds, it can be 70-inch waist. Half of that's 35. Center to back, so half of 35 is 17 and a half. Mm-hmm. So 17 and a half inches from the bar to the back of the closet, that's pretty deep.
Yeah.
So what would I do if I'm a bigger dude? You have two options. One, you can, I'll start with regular, the cheap, you probably have these in your house type remedy. Take your kilt and kind of divide it into 4. So you have stretch it all the way out. And you have the fringe, the straps, and the edge of the front apron. Attach one hanger near, the center left, or this half of the front apron. Next, attach one right above the eye hole to the center back of the pleats. Then attach one from the center back of the pleats over, and then attach one to the other end of the under apron. Fold it in half entirely, and then fold it in half again. Okay. So that you have 4 hangers aligned, and then you have your kilt folded into quarters. Align the next, the question marks of the top of the hanger so that they all face the same direction, because they are folded over 4 times. It'll be, let's say, 15-ish. And then you're going to hang that in the closet, and that should be okay depth-wise. Maybe it's only 12, but it'll probably be okay depth-wise. Option B is we have our kilt hangers, which are 4-clip kilt hangers. We have them specifically designed for us. For the most part, one 4-clip kilt hanger, they're 20 inches wide, that is, in regular to slightly beyond regular kilt sizes. They work a treat, they're fine, not a problem. Let's say you have a 16-ounce 10-yard, 11-yard kilt because you're a really, really big dude. In that instance, what I would do is fold it into thirds, just like you're wearing it. And then I would attach the front apron and the under apron with the clips, and then 4 clips across the pleated section, and kind of hang those 2 in the closet. And that would keep it better supported. Because generally it's trying to jam too much fabric underneath the little jaws, as it were, is what you end up running into with the problem. That's why it's kind of slipping off. But if you have either very good quality kilt hangers or more pants hangers, like 4 of them, then you can kind of disperse the weight a little bit better across the different hangers.
Yeah, we have this issue occasionally over in production when we're making a kilt, where not even necessarily a larger kilt. Sometimes if a kilt has a greater hip waist difference, we have that issue too, where it'll slide off, especially if it's a 16-ounce versus a 13-ounce too. So in some cases where we've done that, where we've used 2 hangers and kind of did the fold in half, or like Rocky said, you kind of stagger the clips between on the material, and that seems to lock everything in and help hold it up.
Yeah. Agreed. All right, Mr. Lucas, next question, pretty please.
You got it. This is a follow-up question to when we were talking about athletic socks, crew socks earlier, wearing them casually, which was from Chris, and he's asking, do you use colored kilt socks or just plain off-the-shelf white? I'll typically
kilt socks or crew socks?
Crew socks, I'm sorry, you got it. Plain white, cream. I wear gray, black athletic socks.
What do you
prefer?
What's the movie with the no wire hangers? No wire hangers. No wire hanger. No cream socks. No, I'm not quite that bad. When it comes to especially, I'd say for wool, for kilt hose I might be, but for regular crew socks, I'm not that bad. I'll wear either white socks or black socks, depending kind of what I'm wearing up top. I would say the vast majority of my socks are black, or if I wash them enough times, they become like a dark gray. But yeah, it's, black because it goes with anything. You don't have to worry about color matching. You don't have to worry about it being too dark. My shoes, here, I'm going to take off a shoe here so I'm not flashing the camera. My shoes are just, very, very, very plain black shoes. These will match anything that I choose to wear, any tartan, doesn't matter. So black shoes for me are just a go-to. I don't like all the swoosh and the swoopiness and the straps and the no. Just plain black shoes. Don't gotta worry about it matching anything.
I'm probably a little bit more particular.
You got more swoopies there, yeah.
Well, my shoes, but with specifically the socks. I wear Puma socks, so they have got the little logo with the Puma on, which changes colors according to depending what socks I have. So I have some that have red Pumas, I have some that have orange, I've got some that have blue, and I match them to the kilt that I'm wearing. So like this one has an orange stripe in. So it has orange Puma on it. My hat, the hat also, Matt, has got a yellow stripe in the kilt. Has yellow on the hat.
He is a fashion plate.
I match everything. So
now the question is, does Puma sue us for talking about their stuff on the show, or do they sponsor us?
I'd be all fine for a sponsor.
I'd be fine for a sponsor. Not so much the suing part.
No.
No, it's personal preference. I wouldn't do color. It's colored socks, and I'm going to say this in light of what he just said about matching his friggin' Puma logo to his kilt stripes. Trying to match your crew socks to the kilt is too much. That's trying too hard in my mind. Now they're black socks.
They are.
Accent. It's not clashing, which is the better part. For me, just don't overthink it too much. Black requires no thinking. That's why I like black. I don't like to think. I don't like to think about anything. Just the entire next show is me staring straight at the camera. It's like the Nick Offerman drinking scotch, the peat log in the fire thing. Maybe it's a little bit like that. Maybe it's just Rocky's head is a vacant, vacuum.
You can have a couple sips of your...
Oh, I will. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Mr. Mac.
All right. So we have Richard asking, in your YouTube clip about Prince Charles, I noticed that he did not wear ghillie brogues, but had wingtips or brogued Oxfords. Should ghillie brogues be kept for formal events?
I love when we bring up the Prince. We got Prince Charles. We got people either love him or hate him. Like there's a lot of comments on that. Think what you will of him and the royal family. The man knows how to dress. Do you ghillie brogues for formal? Technically, no. I can't believe these words are about to come out of my mouth.
Buckle brogues?
And I may vomit as they come out. But like buckle brogues are the most formal. I hate them. I would not wear them. I will go barefoot before I wear them. But buckle brogues are formal shoes. I wear ghillie brogues whenever I'm getting dressed up, St. Andrews type stuff, or nice dinners and that kind of thing. You can also, but you can for smart day wear and things like that. You can wear, or even dressy-ish functions. You can still wear, brogued Oxfords or wingtips and things like that. It's not ghillie brogues are not a thing that are relegated to a specific thing, either like uber formal or only like they're kind of made up in the 20th century in the same vein as like the Highland shirt is made up. It's to harken back to the old shoes, brogues where they're like like basically pieces of leather that are kind of gathered and then laces and then laced up the leg kind of thing. So they're a fancification or a fantastification. I'm making up words now of a fantastical thing to harken back to that in the same way that the Highland shirt was not a real thing until the 1950s. It was made to look like an old-timey shirt, but it is not actually a historically accurate thing. So a lot of guys like ghillie brogues. I like them myself. I think they look nice. I think they kind of give a little dash, a little something to the outfit. But at the same time, yes, you can just wear Oxfords or wingtips.
So do you think it's more of like the romanticism?
Romanticism?
That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, have another scotch, man. You gotta catch up. It's to some degree, yes. Like a lot of this stuff is. It comes from Victorians. It comes from like ways to throw, like the fly plate. All of it is meant to kind of think of it this way. It's giving a nod to something that came before, and it's making something new up, but it's a nod to what came before, and that's kind of how it evolved over time. And time will tell whether specific aspects become accepted, over the longer term. So ghillie brogues, yes, they've become accepted. Fly plaids, I would say, have become accepted as something to wear for formal, especially for grooms and things like that, although you don't have to wear it to be formal. Highland shirt, for a casual throwback-y type outfit, has kind of become accepted.
Yeah.
It's still, I have mixed feelings on it, but it's, versus something that's brand new, which has only been around in the last 20 years. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but it's kind of, it evolves over time. It is still fashion. It is tradition, it is heritage, but there still is fashion. It still does move forward. It moves forward much slower than regular fashion, like Paris catwalk kind of thing, but it is still fashion on some level.
And then when you get a package, when you get a
higher package,
from UK, ghillie brogues, I'm assuming, are going to be included in that.
It depends on the company. A lot of times, if they include shoes, it will probably be ghillie brogues. If they don't include shoes, they may just say, just wear your wingtips, because they don't want to muck around with the shoes.
So it's kind of become the
de facto,
the bog standard.
Yep. See what you did there. The dad part of me loves that pun. Yeah. So it's ghillie brogues are the bog standard. You can wear them for things. You don't have to wear them. They are tradition-ish now, but it's not hundreds of years. It's 100 years, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mr. Lucas, what do we got going on out in the audience there?
All right, we have another formality question, this time from Carl, who's asking, what's the general opinion regarding wearing an Argyll jacket and vest rather than a Prince Charlie for black tie? And would a fly wing collar shirt with covered placket still be the best
Fly
shirt?
wing collared?
Fly wing collar shirt. Not 100%.
Me neither.
I
don't do a whole lot of super duper fancy stuff.
Might just be a fly shirt.
Fly, pretty fly for a kilt guy.
Yeah.
An Argyll for formal. I would say an Argyll is, strictly speaking, an Argyll is not black tie. It is not formal. A Prince Charlie is formal, a regulation doublet's formal, a Sheriff Muir is formal. Those things are formal. An Argyll is not formal. Will 99.9% of the people have any idea? No. Can you wear it for formal to 99.9% of things? Yes. When I'll take my own life experience, as it were. If you're going to a wedding and you're the only guy in the kilt, and it's black tie. Not many weddings are really actually black tie anymore, but if it was, fine. If you're the only guy in the kilt, have at it. 99% of those people, most people will not know. They will not care. They'll just see you're wearing a kilt. They'll assume that it is the right thing for you to be wearing. No one's going to actually ask a question. if you're going to a black tie event where everyone is going to be kilted, then the proper jacket to be wearing is, or the Argyll is not a proper jacket to be wearing. It should be a Prince Charlie, or as I said, a Montrose or regulation doublet, something like that. Now, in reality, what boots meet the ground, where rubber meets the road. I'm going to come up with all the analogies. What are you gonna see at that event? Will somebody be wearing an Argyll jacket to a black tie event? Yeah, probably. Most people in the room will not understand the nuance of the difference, even at a St. Andrews thing, or an upper crusty thing, or whatever. Most people are just, they don't understand the nuance of the difference, and that's the thing they have, that's what they're going to wear. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. So if you have an Argyll and that's what you are thinking about wearing because you don't want to spend the money, I'd say don't worry about it too much. If you're looking to purchase one or the other, then I'd say for black tie, the right jacket to wear is a Prince Charlie. Now, you're probably not going to get as much use out of it. So the Argyll, sorry if I stole your thought there. The Argyll is going to be a bit more versatile, where you can wear it dressier and dress it down a touch as well.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go. It's most of the guys, it seems like we get or we talk to, seem to want a jacket that is going to be, they're going to get the most mileage out of. And Charlie, you're going to get, especially with black tie, how many times are you actually going to be wearing that to a black tie event? If you're getting invited to, black tie events every year, then okay, then maybe that's what you go towards. But if you're going to wear it to a black tie, plus a wedding, plus
church,
a
nice date night,
graduation, like that type of stuff, then okay, then the Argyll you're going to get that mileage out of. So yeah, then that's the way I would go.
Now I will say this. If you do go the route of getting a Prince Charlie, I would say get the Prince Charlie, but don't buy the Argyll. For your second jacket, thinking ahead for you, I would get a tweed jacket and vest. If you think of, here's the scale of formality. Tom, put a bar in right here. So now on this end is the formal, and this end is the less formal. The Prince Charlie is going to cover the most formal to about here. The Argyll is going to cover about here. A tweed jacket is going to cover here. So the tweed jacket is going to be more versatile for you in the long run and cover up to most events where you would wear a Prince Charlie. So it's kind of, you have two jackets, the right horse for the right course, versus one that kind of splits the difference but isn't quite white or black tie kind of thing. And it's a little bit fancy for smart day wear, but a tweed jacket will be good for day wear. A Prince Charlie will be good for formal stuff. So if you're going to get two, Prince Charlie and tweed. If you're going to get one, maybe just the Argyll or just the tweed if you don't plan on doing anything super fancy. Maybe you just rent that at some point later down the road. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
No, I like, that's a very good way of putting it. I like the little scale.
Thank you.
And I like the better when the graphic gets there too.
Oh, it's going to look spectacular.
It's amazing.
Tom, it's going to have spectacular graphics. All right, Mr. Mack.
All right. So we have Charles and Aaron. They have asked similar questions about wearing kilts in the UK. You've talked in past about how daily kilt wear is largely a phenomenon, and it isn't common in Scotland, let alone Ireland, Wales, etc. So what do you do to recommend to someone who's planning to visit one of those places? Wear them, leave them at home. Rocky has mentioned how it is easy for him because he can point out kilts that are your business. What about the rest of us who don't have a kilt business? Some of us are peacocks and are huge introverts who are okay being seen but don't always ever want to talk to strangers.
Okay.
So you want to be peacock, but you don't want to be talked to.
Okay. So we got a two-part question. First part is essentially, if I'm understanding this correctly, you're going to the UK. Do you wear a kilt? Where do you wear a kilt? that kind of thing.
Yep.
The second part of the question is, I want to stand out, but I don't want to be noticed.
Yep.
Got it. Makes sense? Makes no sense. If you are going to the UK, do they wear kilts in Scotland? How many people in kilts will you see on your trek through Edinburgh and through the Highlands or whatever?
3.
And that's being generous. No, they don't wear kilts that much. They are generally reserved for tuxedo, equivalent. For the most part, kilts in the UK are worn as something formal. It is their national dress, but it is the fancy national dress. It is not something that they wear, generally speaking, on a daily basis. In the US, we kind of view them differently. Kilts to us we also view them as, fancy dress and things to wear to formal events, but we also view them as an extension of our heritage. If you live in Scotland, you're there. It's obviously, you're experiencing your heritage, you're experiencing the country every single day. In the US, if you're trying to experience your ancestors, your family history, and that kind of thing, outside of US, your American experience, if you're trying to experience something from over there, the kilt is a visible, tangible, physical manifestation of that heritage. So we wear them over here as an extension, as an outward visual representation of that heritage. If you were over there, they're not going to be worn that much. You will be seen as a tourist. Now, it's not necessarily a bad thing. You are a tourist. You're over there trying to experience what Scotland is and what it was. You're trying to see, the Culloden battlefield at the same time as downtown Inverness. There is a beauty in Scotland of having history surrounded by the rest of contemporary, current Scottish culture. Inverness Castle sitting in the middle of the town with a bunch of shops all around it, around the outside, or Edinburgh Castle on the top of the hill with the entire Royal Mile lined with fish and chips and telephone, T-Mobile shops and whatever. It's a wonderful, beautiful juxtapositioning of heritage and culture and history with everyday, current, today's life. So you get all of that when you go traveling over there. You will not, as a tourist, see many people in kilts. That's okay. Do it your way. If you want to wear a kilt as part of the experience, if you wear a kilt now on a regular basis as part of your, who you are as a person, it's a piece of clothing, wear it over there. Yes, you're going to be seen as a tourist, but it doesn't matter because you are. You're being authentic to who you are. And what's the worst case scenario? Someone's going to think you're a tourist. And part B, people are going to talk to you as if you're a tourist and probably give you tips and tricks and things to see while you're there. Oh no, please don't tell me the best bar to go drink in that's local. Oh no, please don't tell me about the best restaurant in town. Who cares? It's part of the experience. If you're comfortable wearing a kilt and you want to wear it over there, wear it. You're going to be seen as a tourist, but it doesn't matter. If you are uncomfortable because you want to get the authentic, everyday, current Scottish experience and you're not in it for history's sake per se, then don't wear a kilt and you won't be seen as a tourist until you open your mouth and you have a Canadian, American, Australian, whatever accent. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. The wow, my thought just went right out the window.
Are you going to go in the second question about what they're
Second part
how do you
was-
stand out without standing out? How do you stand out without people talking to you?
Oh, what I was going to say is we don't experience. I mean, as far as I know, there's no we don't really have a national dress, so it is a lot of it is hard for us as Americans because we're this melting pot of everything. We don't. It's hard for us to go to see. We put everything in a different light compared to what everybody else in the world, how their dress is. So we hold it up a little bit more a higher pedestal in some ways. So Yeah, so it's like us, whether it is Scotland or we're going to Mexico or we're going to Japan, we're wearing some of those things that don't necessarily get worn every day. Because again, we're trying to feel closer to that place.
Agreed. And I would say this. The closest thing to national dress is probably a pair of jeans.
It's like jeggings?
Yeah. No, not I mark my words, I will not wear jeggings ever, period. Tom, do not put that graphic in. Now he wants to. So jeans are probably the closest thing to American national dress and a cowboy hat, but it's not America is huge. It's not the authentic experience of most Americans. I will say this as well. With mass media, with airplanes going from country to country to country, with international travel, the definition of international dress, and with Hollywood movies being exported and American culture being exported across the world, national dress at some point will just kind of be homogenized because there's a lot more cross-country, cross-border things. There's going to be regional flavors, but within, I'll go on record. Sure, I'll be dead by then. I'll go on record by saying that within 300 years, there's going to be a lot more homogenization of style of dress and fashion across the world because of the influence of different countries and different cultures. It's not going to be so distinctly Japanese or so distinctly Scottish or so distinctly German or whatever.
Yeah.
There's going to be just there will always be the things that have existed. There will be kilts in 300 years. There will be lederhosen in 300 years. There will be dashikis in 300 years. But everyday garments that people are actually wearing 300 years from now, mark your calendar, folks, 300 years from today, will be much more homogenized than we are now as things move around the world and there's much more free travel and free experience of different cultures.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
Yes. If that's true, I want a statue erected in my honor for calling that stuff. You!
Calling your shot, huh?
Exactly. Pointing to the fence, Babe Ruth in it. Indeed. All right, Mac.
So the second half of this question is more on the lines of, I want to be a peacock, but I don't want anybody to talk to me.
Suck it up, Buttercup. It's when you wear a kilt, you are assuming a mantle. You are assuming the yoke. You are putting this on yourself. And we on this show and our Facebook group and everything, we always talk about being a good ambassador, period, of whatever you are, whether that's kilts, whether that's being an American, a Canadian, whatever. You are an ambassador of your community. And when you wear a kilt, you are more than likely, outside of a festival, you are more than likely the only person who everyone you come in contact with you're the only one that they're going to see in a kilt that day. So you are representing all of us. So you're assuming that is going to happen. Now, and when you wear a kilt, you are wearing something different. You are the peacock. You are the weird dude to some degree, or the confident dude in depending on how you look at it. So you have to understand and accept that you are going to get talked to. Period. Like there's no way around it. It's human nature. I see someone wearing something interesting. They seem approachable. It seems fun. They seem confident. I want to understand. I want to talk to them. Or, hey, that's my heritage too. I must have something in common with them. I want to talk to them. So you're gonna get it. And if you're an introvert, I am not, obviously. So, but if you are an introvert, it's part of the territory. You're gonna get talked to. You're gonna get, in those conversations. You just kind of have to have some prefab things that you want to say, prefab ways to kind of shorten the conversation or get out of it. But there's not a lot you can do to be like, you're gonna wear a t-shirt that says F off, don't talk to me while you're wearing your kilt. It's outside of literally a sandwich board of don't talk to me. You're going to get talked to. You have to accept it. As I said, suck it up, Buttercup.
Yeah, I mean, even like for us, even just going to the store, just going to get milk, somebody's gonna talk to you. Someone will bound to talk to you, no matter how you look at it.
Or looked at you sideways, or kind of like, what's this thing right
or
now?
taking out the cell phone and doing that quick. Yeah, so it's. I've kind of just gotten used to it, and even just the little picture thing, kind of got used to that. Now, other people that are usually with me, i.e., my wife, she becomes a little chihuahua and goes after him. But it's the
Brittany just yipping right here. Yes.
But yeah, you stand out.
Yeah, if it is. I am selective. I will say this: I am selective where I am going to wear the kilt. If I'm going out on a date with my wife, and I really want to focus, and it's that my mother or my mother-in-law is taking Liam for the evening, and we're gonna have a nice romantic dinner, and it's just gonna be the two of us, and we're gonna have deep, meaningful conversation, connecting our souls. Then I won't wear a kilt because I don't want to be interrupted. I don't want to be talked to. I don't want to be the center of attention. I want to focus on her and focus on one thing and one thing only. I don't want to be bothered with other people talking to me. And you have the ability to be a celebrity or not be a celebrity if you're wearing a kilt. You're choosing to be the mini celebrity. You're choosing to be the guy that wants the attention. And it's difficult if you're antisocial or if you're an introvert and you don't really want to talk to people. But it's the price you pay for fame. It's like asking to be a celebrity and then getting to be a celebrity and complaining that the paparazzi are taking your picture. Yeah, no shit. You wanted to be a celebrity. It's the cost. Mm-hmm. You pay the cost to be the boss. So with the kilt though, you have the option to like literally turn it on, turn it off. So on the days where you're feeling a little bit more extroverted and you don't mind talking to people, then sure, slap on the kilt, head out and do your thing. If you're just like, I really don't want to talk to anybody today, then leave the kilt at home because people are going to want to talk to you.
And if you still want to wear a tartan or still want to, that there's always other things you can do. You can wear a flat cap or a tie.
Yeah.
There's other ways that you can show that without standing out, not being that peacock.
Yeah.
It's the little details that you can add to your own outfit.
Yeah. Those two things are diametrically opposed. Mm-hmm. Wearing a kilt and not wanting to talk to people. You could choose one, pick your battle.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Lucas.
Yeah, I would chime into that real quick and say the most common question, at least in talking to the guys downstairs if they're out in public, people ask, hey, do you play the bagpipes? Is there a parade? Is there a Highland Games going on? Something like that? To which, those sorts of questions, I'll say, hey, there is this really cool event that goes on this time of year. You should check it out. Maybe they go and take their family and you give them something special. So you never know what people are gonna go out for.
In that same vein, if you want to break people's brains, well, you actually play the bagpipes. Yeah. But if someone asked me, do you play bagpipes? Nope. Oh, is there a Scottish event? No.
The record's just scratching.
I know, it's like you can see the gears grinding to a halt. The mouse fell off the wheel in their brain, and they can't put you into the box that they want to put you in, and they don't know how to extrapolate. If you want to let them off the hook, you say, it's part of my family heritage, or I'm a kilt maker, or that kind of thing. But it's fun messing with people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Theoretically, you'd go back and say, yes, I do. And be like, oh, wow, you have bagpipes? You magically pull out bagpipes, just start playing horribly. And like, what do you mean? Like, I didn't say I played them well. I just said I played them. Come on. Question from Kevin Campbell about Sgian Dubhs. Are they always worn?
Nope. Yeah. Doesn't fit in my crew socks. Now, the Sgian Dubh is kind of a ceremonial, traditional, hangover, leftover from, olden times, shall we say, where it's become more decorative and symbolic. I don't know if symbolic's the right word, but I'll say it. And you just, jam it in the top of the sock. They're not often utilitarian. They're not often very sharp. They're more letter opener kind of quality blade. So no, most guys who I know who are knife guys, who really like to carry a knife, either carried in their sporran or, on one of the straps on their kilt. They don't consider Sgian Dubhs real or good knife. They have real knives. They stab people.
They just stabby stab.
Yeah, they do the stabby stab thing. But they're not like good quality, super good quality blades or tangs. So yeah, is it necessary? No.
I think I've backed off. When I first started wearing everything, it was like, oh, gotta wear it. And I think I've noticed myself less and less pulling it out of the box and actually wearing it. And I think probably the most utilitarian one is the Sgian Brew, the bottle opener one. That's the one that I would probably use the most.
I almost spit coffee right there. Yep. Now the Sgian Brew, which is just basically a bottle opener instead of a blade, is more. I get more use out of that than I would out of an actual knife. Yeah, it's one of those things where when somebody's buying a kilt outfit head to toe, and if somebody's on a budget and says, hey, this is a little bit too much, if I have to leave something off, what do I leave off? Typically it's the Sgian Dubh. It's not necessary for the outfit. It's a little bit expensive, and it's one of those things where it's a nice to have, it's not a need to have. It's the best way of putting it. Yep. All right, Mr. Mack.
All right.
Do one more from you and then one more from Mr. Lucas, and then the question of the day. I actually have a question of the day planned today. Indeed. I want your actual opinion, so if you're still sticking around for this, answer this question.
All right, we have Joe asking, he's like, could we address the idea of who would receive ownership of a restricted tartan if the owner passes?
So, there's a registered tartan, the Scottish Tartan Registry, and it says restricted. Now, I'm going to make a couple claims. One, I am not a copyright attorney. Number two, we are talking about restrictions on a tartan, not a copyright on a tartan. Those are two different things. The Tartan Register just records the tartans, and as part of the recording process, they're going to ask you, do you want it restricted? Meaning either who can wear it or who can weave it or that kind of thing. And it's kind of a gentleman's agreement between all the mills in the UK whether they weave something that's restricted or not. So if it is a restricted tartan, not copyright restricted, and the owner dies, kicks the bucket, pops his cogs, whatever you want to call it. I spoke to Brian Wilton from the Scottish Tartan Authority about this a couple times, years ago. And basically his thought on it is if the person who designed the tartan dies and you can't get a hold of next of kin, it's not an organization, it's just an individual. In that instance, document what you've tried to do to get a hold of them and then weave it. It's one of those where it's kind of easier to ask forgiveness than permission. I'm not saying do anything untoward. I'm not saying doing anything illegal. I'm not saying doing anything unethical. But you're trying your best to get a hold of somebody who would be next of kin or give you permission to do a thing. And if you can't, then weave it, but document the process. We did that for one of the tartans that we carried. So I'd say make your best effort. That is what was told to me. Do your best and make an honest, earnest attempt to get permission. But if you can't, then thinking of it, in 30,000 foot view, the tartan will die. Like no one will ever weave it again. If the owner, the restriction holder, the designer dies and no one cares about it, then it's literally just going to be a footnote in history if no one continues to weave it. So, again, do your homework. Try to find someone to give you permission. If it's an organization or a university or whatever, try to find someone to say, hey, you're the next best thing I can find to approve this. Are you guys okay with me doing it? You're just doing the honorable thing of trying to make sure you're going against their wishes. But if there's no one to go against, then yeah, I'd say ask forgiveness, not permission. And as long as you're not like a company making billions of dollars off it, and it's now your trademarked, the tartan you're going to use for all your marketing materials, you should be fine as a one-off kilt.
Yeah, I even think the process we took, it took a long time. We definitely went through and tried multiple times to try to contact. So it can't be just a one and done. Oh, I didn't get a hold of them. Like, it's got to be a process. It's got to be a long process.
Yeah, show an effort. Basically, it's if the way I think of it, coming back around the other end. If I am the person, let's say, John Smith designed a tartan, and I want to weave John Smith's tartan, but I think he's dead. Either he is dead, or he's or his family own it, or whatever. And I weave it and I wear it. And then somebody comes up to me or they contact me because I was featured in a magazine, I don't know, wearing the tartan and talked about it. If they contact me and say, how dare you wear this? You didn't design it. My family did, or my father did, or I did, and I'm not dead. Surprise, I'm not dead. What are you going to say to them? And if you say, look, the email you have listed in the register is this. And I tried contacting that, but the email bounced back. And I tried writing to the address on file, but it came back as undeliverable. And I tried contacting X, Y, and Z, and the tartan register didn't have any updates on any of your information. I really tried, and I'm not doing anything weird with it, but I really wanted to get this one done, and I couldn't get a hold of you. At that point, a logical human, not every human is logical, but a logical human would go, all right, I forgot to do that. I forgot to update the information. That's fine. And they're not going to sue you over or anything like that. Now, copyrighted is different, but registered and restricted, I'd say you're probably fine as long as you're making a gallant, actual, valid effort to try to find the person and contact them.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right, last question. Mr. Lucas, who do we got out there?
Last question from Felicia Hudson, and she is asking, are there separate rules for formal and informal for women's clothing and kilting?
Probably. For women's clothing and kilting, I would respectfully, weirdly put it this way. Women's formal kilting is not a thing. Therefore, there are no rules. Therefore, do follow regular convention. There's no formal woman's kilt, period, because a kilt is a man's thing. A kilted skirt, a hostess skirt, that kind of thing isn't really necessarily formal so much as like a gown. So, but gowns fall within the realm of fashion. So it's a tangential thing at best, and it falls more under fashion than it does heritage. That's not a good answer, but I'm pleading ignorance on the topic. So that is my answer. Mr. Lucas, give me another one.
Another question.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't want to end on that. I don't want to end on a I have no idea question.
Got it. Question about the Balmoral tartan. This is a silly question.
Okay.
What's the penalty for a peasant to wear the royal Balmoral tartan?
A game misconduct.
I was going to say flagellation. Whipping. Post. Do they still do beheadings? I don't think so. Blood eagle. No. There's, I will say this. There's no penalty, but no one outside of an individual that you happen to know would probably weave it. The mills in the UK would not weave the Balmoral tartan out of respect for the royal family. For those that don't know, the Balmoral tartan is a two-tone gray with a red stripe tartan that is strictly for the royal family. It wouldn't be woven. Therefore, even if you said, hey, I want to weave this one, the mills would probably be like, yeah, no, we're not supposed to do that one, so no, and they wouldn't do it. So, yeah, you could maybe get some kind of close approximation woven or trick someone into weaving it, but they wouldn't do it of their own accord. They wouldn't do it knowing what it was. And I'll give you a little factoid, a little nugget. The Mill House of Edgar, when they came out with a whole range of tartans, with the like marled yarns, they are now called the Hebridean collection, or Hebridean collection. Originally, they called them the Balmoral collection, but they were approached by the royals and said, somebody representing the royal family, and said, we do not want you to call this the Balmoral collection because it is not. It's a confusion with the Balmoral tartan, and we don't want there to be any confusion, especially because they're grayscale. So please rename it. And, being respectful to the royal family, they did. So there's, ultimately, there's no penalty for it, but no one would weave it. If you want to be that guy and try to have it woven by some hand weaver in Oklahoma that happens to have a loom and have a kilt made up in it just to thumb your nose at the royal family, sure, you do you, but it's not one that would be woven in the UK outside of a royal commission.
I'm just picturing the Queen now coming and going,
No. Indeed. All right. Question of the day. You guys ready? Question of the day.
Bum, bum, bum.
Prince Charlie Sporran. This was a sporran style. It's akin or similar to a dress sporran or worn at formal kind of functions. This was popular in the, I'd say, early 1900s or so. Kind of fell out of fashion with in the, I want to say, 1930s, 1940s, that kind of time frame. It still exists. It's a historical looking thing. It can still be manufactured. There's nothing really wrong with it, but it is very different. Normally for formal functions, it is a dress sporran where it's an oval shape and there's a metal cantle, semicircle cantle on top of the sporran. This one has it's a semi-dress with fur on the flap. I don't know if you can see it in the camera there, but this is all fur around here. Then there's a little metal plate right there in the middle. So, what do you think about this? That's the question of the day. Would you wear a Prince Charlie sporran for formal? Should we carry it or give it a miss? Let me know. Thumbs up or thumbs down. That's the question of the day. I don't want either of your opinions. I want unfettered, unbiased opinions. Let us know in the comments. Until next time, boys and girls, Slán Java.